all the cities I lived in. So I mentioned I'm in Riverdale, I lived in Washington Heights and Harlem, and I relied on the public spaces, the gardens and the communities that, you know, even just the kind of like guerrilla gardeners who would just take over a tree pit, like without any permission, they would just do it. I've always loved that type of person and been attracted to that. Before I lived in Harlem, I'm from Detroit. I was born in Detroit, and I must have been indoctrinated at a very young age because in my elementary school in 1970, I don't know when it was, we had like a ecology forum for the entire public school, you know? So I imagine a version of my group, Plant Native, existed then. They went to my public school and they talked about the importance of ecology. And I remember the entire school gathering in the auditorium and having this very persuasive presentation and doing activities. And actually they had us, you know, we probably had like very idealistic teachers. I don't remember that, but I know they put us on a protest, like a march around the school. This is in Detroit, Detroit City, not the suburbs. This is in Detroit in 1970. Pardon? Okay. So you can imagine, right? We had, you know, like signs and I there's a picture of me with like a peace sign t-shirt, like anyway, so I think, but that was all about ecology and the love of nature and the importance of loving the earth because it loves us. So I think that sunk in because I've always been that person from then on. So when I was growing up in Detroit, we used to vacation in Canada on the Great Lakes. It was very modest. It was like nothing fancy, you know, like practically a shack on the lake. But I loved that experience, that immersive experience. I did miss my Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that, but I went through that withdrawal. But then I loved just living in that setting, you know, with the lake and the weather and the forest and the everything. It was just beautiful. So I think I take that with me too. I think that's like a spirit from the earth that you know, it will always be within me. So I think everybody has some version of that, you know, I hope. So I did, before I moved to Harlem, Detroit, I did live in San Francisco and Oakland for a while, and I worked for Greenpeace for a bit, and actually like a couple of years. They're very, back then, this was like late 80s, 90s. They were very insular, very protective because of their sort of like, you know, their work. They're very confrontational. So I didn't work closely with Greenpeace, but what I did was basically fundraising and outreach. And I went to school in Alaska because when I was thinking about college, this was in the 80s when on the front page of the paper, it was sort of like, the earth is warming. Our earth will not be what we know it for long. So so you can see how like ecology and environmentalism has guided me my whole life. So then at that point I thought, well, if, you know, my sense of global warming was that everything would be melting and that the glaciers would melt and everything would be totally liquefied in about 50 years. That's what I thought then. So I thought I'll go to school in Alaska, and I did, and I enjoyed it, and I loved that experience. It was remote and very different. But sure enough, you know,
Climb indoors.
Pardon?
Your planting had to be indoors.
Right. Well, I didn't.
Houses.
Actually, I didn't do much planting, but there are people who do, and in Anchorage, the gardeners, people who own homes and have gardens, everything grows to enormous quantities, extents, right? I mean, like because of the sunlight, it's sunlight all summer. So it would look like it is now at maybe 11 p.m., maybe 10 p.m. Right, like right now. So the vegetables are enormous. You've probably seen pictures, and the flowers are enormous. So, but I really wasn't, I've actually never been a gardener, and I didn't mean to talk about me, but since we have so much time, I can tell you a little bit about me. Uh, um, I never actually had an interest in gardening. My interest was really the, you know, the climate crisis. That was always my interest. And it depressed me so much. It really did. And it's okay, sure. But what changed was this group of people in Riverdale who formed this group called Plant Native Northwest Bronx. It really did. Honestly, I promise you, I was not a gardener before that. The first gardening I did was at Chervier, the first ever. So I learned from Barbara and Barbara's community there. Honestly, like I'm not an expert, so it's kind of funny that I'm here. I don't know much about gardening. I know what I know what I've learned, and I've learned a little bit about very sustainable native plants. I've learned about like a few plants and how to plant them that are meant to grow here and that are meant to sustain the ecology here. So let's see if I can proceed with our presentation. If I go hit enter. Okay, thanks. Enter.
I can get you a mouse if you need.
I can use the trackpad. I just, oh, just
There you go.
Or-
Yeah, just
okay.
yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Okay. So who are we? We are actually anybody who wants to be us. It's very loosely organized. We're just volunteers. And I happen to be here because I seem to be just one of a few people who are willing to do this type of thing, but anybody could do it. I'm not like a founder. I'm not a director. I'm not like an organizer. I'm really just somebody who I'm one of many who is here. That's all. And we need as many people as possible who can do things like this and help us be successful. But that's not why I'm here, to like recruit you. I'm not here for that. But if you know of anybody or you want to help out, we need you. We need help. So we are a bunch of people in Riverdale, and some of us are in Kingsbridge, who actually everybody is very different. Some of us love gardening and have like a lot less interest in like the biodiversity crisis than I do. People, like a lot of us, just love to see things grow. They just, doesn't matter what it is. It feeds their soul, they tell me, to just plant something and watch it grow. That's a lot of who we are. We're also other organizations like Chervier. Am I pronouncing it right? That's how I always say it, Chervier. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And just, for people online who don't know who Chervier is, just the community garden, just let
The
them know.
community garden, right.
And then if anybody asks questions, just repeat it. So
Okay.
people online can-
Okay, yeah. There's this great community garden at Chervier, and I think it's dedicated to the residents there. And if there are any leftover plots, then people like me can sign up as long as you're 55
No,
or older.
It's for
It's for people?
community. It's not
Any-
for.
Oh, it's not, okay.
It's
for anybody.
So it's for anybody who's 55 and older.
Yeah.
And if you want a spot, you can sign up. So right
Yeah.
now we're full.
Yeah.
Almost full, but that's who the garden
That's
is for. But you guys can come over and see it.
Yeah, yes,
Aurelia can give you a tour.
yes. It's a great place.
Yeah.
I've learned so much. Also, the Riverdale Sunday Y Market is partners with us. They support us and believe in our mission. And the Spite and Diva Library also partners with us. And we kind of overlap with other groups like the Bronx is Blooming, like the James Baldwin Outdoor Learning Center. We actually have a lot of interest from other groups. So that's who we are. And how did we get here? We got here coming out of COVID, where I think there was a fair, like a forum at the Riverdale Y Sunday Market on environmentalism. And we just sort of said, how can we kind of come together and do things together for the environment? And so we had a Zoom. This group was created, and with the sort of participation of many other different viewpoints, we managed to see a lot of our groups our ideas come to fruition, but we still have many other ideas still. So I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what this is going, where this is gonna take us. Okay. So I already did my introductions. I don't know if you guys want to introduce yourselves too. You're welcome to.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Anita,
Hi, Anita.
if you don't have experience.
Yeah.
I have like houseplants.
Uh-huh.
To know why they not doing
Yes.
what some of them do.
Yeah.
But, you come in and you're taught how to,
We
is it also teaching and learning?
teach
So
and
what's the question?
do we
Teach.
teach and provide learning opportunities? It's a good question. When we've had the capacity, we have had volunteers go to people's homes and give them advice on what to plant where, or identifying invasive species and strategies. We've done that a few times, but we're stretched. We don't seem to have enough volunteers who can do that type of thing. But I like the idea of having like a teaching learning type of event. We haven't done that. Most of our events have been mostly about introducing the concepts of native gardening, because there's interest in that. But at the same time, we feel like more and more people are familiar with that and don't need that as much, and they might need more like how to do that hands-on. And even the experienced gardeners like to share resources with each other. You know, the people who've been gardening with native plants for 10, 20 years often say, you know, this didn't work this year and I don't know why, or, you know, I have this challenge. So I think we should do more things like that, like maybe interactive Zooms, you know, where people could share and ask questions. Yeah, I do. I think I'm going to write that down so that because this is not the first time somebody suggested that. And even as I said, our members have, like, I've run into them at the grocery store, and these are like my mentors, you know, they have so much experience, but they're asking me, you know, and I'm like, well, I certainly don't know. If you don't know, I don't know. We need to have a Zoom for all you experts to get together. Yeah. Teach and learn. Okay. I think it's a good idea. Okay. So did anybody want to introduce themselves? I'm very curious about you and I'd love to hear you, but I don't, you know, no pressure. If you don't want to, that's okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to go on. Okay. So, this is like a example of how we got together. We just organized a Zoom, and that was in December of 2027. And it was just these people here, you can see. And not many of these people have stayed on as being involved, but they're supportive. So when this is, you know, this may not be interesting to you and I can gloss over it, but basically I find it interesting. How do groups form and how do grassroots groups form, right? We didn't follow instructions. We just kind of organically did it. So we created a Google account. Guess we must have created a name, but I don't remember that. Oh yeah, I remember voting on a name. It took a week. We found a name. It was like a group of 12 people. Pick this name. This name, Plant Native Northwest Bronx, was chosen because plant is a verb, and somebody was like, if you start off with a verb, it's, you know, shows action. So that's how we got to that. And we created a mission statement. And this is the mission statement. I'll read it to you from unless I have it on the next. I do? Yeah, good. Okay. So I think it's kind of changed a little bit. I mean, and we might remake it. I mean, just because a couple times other people like me have presented at other groups and they've said, you know, when I was talking to the group, I kind of tweaked it a little bit. So, but essentially what we're wanting to do is increase the awareness of the importance of introducing native plant or maintaining native plants in our local environment to ensure that it's healthy, because it is increasingly off kilter. It's imbalanced because of invasive species. These things affect the soil more than anything. I think it's the soil, and then the insect communities that are pollinators. Everything's interwoven, right, with ecology. It's it's not just the sun and the water that the plants get, it's the microorganisms in the soil, the quality of the soil, and then the plants and species around it. And that's my understanding of it. So that's essentially our mission statement. And that's brought us to some very interesting places. We started off having a webinar. It was pretty successful. We had 90 attendees. And the webinar also included about 20 minutes of a presentation by Doug Tallamy, who is a professor and New York Times bestselling writer who's written about this. In fact, it's his work that inspires a lot of us. So he actually gave a presentation at the Riverdale Yonkers Society for Ethical Culture. I don't know if you saw that. It was on YouTube, and it was a great presentation, like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, very persuasive. And his approach, which actually guides us, is that doing this type of work is probably the easiest thing any of us can do to be impactful. It's easier, well, for some people, it's easier than writing a letter to your city council person. It's easier than writing a letter to your senator. It's easier than getting involved in your school board, right? These are the things that you do to sort of make an impact on the ecology of your neighborhood, right? Like, it's easy because all you're doing is planting something that should be there, and planting it one plant that's outdoors and interact, that's allowed to interact with the ecology. Like, there are people who have 1 or 2 flowers, native flowers, on their balconies, who report, bees and butterflies coming by. They'll find us. And that's the simplest thing we can do. In this presentation that he gave at the Riverdale Yonkers Society for Ethical Culture, he talked about the simplest thing we could do is to simply plant native plants, and also to participate in sort of knitting up, piecing together the fragmented ecosystem that's been fragmented from development. We didn't mean to do this to our environment. Nobody meant to, the shopping mall developers and the, the workplace developers and the highway, nobody set out to plan to we're going to destroy the environment. No, of course not. But that's what's happened, because so much of it needs to at least be in a continuous region, like little islands of it doesn't help, and it makes it worse. Like, we've seen the impact of that with the growth of Lyme disease, because when things are cut up like that, the populations of the species that the ticks live on are kind of trapped in there. So there's nothing to balance that out. Like I'm talking about, rodents and deer, right? The ticks live on them, and because ideally there wouldn't be such an overgrowth of ticks if the environment was sort of connected and things could balance themselves out. That's the theory, at least. So the plants we plant on our terraces, or how we participate in community gardens, is impactful because it's allowing the plants that support the pollinators, the birds and the insects, that help the ecology thrive, are there. And they're there kind of in a continuous way. So one thing that we would hope to do is to have a pollinator pathway. Yes, a pollinator pathway, that's a goal. Other groups in this region have it, like in Westchester, they have it, and even down, in Staten Island and Brooklyn and Queens, the idea is to just have some kind of continuous region where the insects, the pollinators can connect and pollinate and thrive. So that I'm getting back to this, our activity then, we had that webinar with 90 attendees. We also organized a neighborhood walk in Riverdale of dawn redwoods, which are big trees, and they're not indigenous to this region. They're not, they're just a novelty. They're these enormous trees. They're kind of prehistoric trees that were very fashionable to plant like 100 years ago. And we thought it would be fun, and we still would like to do this type of thing, to just have a tour with community and walk around and talk about what we see. It was very cold that day, but we tried our best. It was so cold that day, but they are beautiful, and you've probably seen these trees. They're at Wave Hill, and they're around. I'm sure they're very, if you Google it, they're very tall, and very symmetrical. They're almost not, they're just like kind of like not cone shaped, but they're stately and they're big. And we started tabling at the Riverdale Y Sunday Market, which has been like an amazing experience. And hopefully one day we'll be able to do more of that. And you're all welcome to do it with us. We need help. And we also sort of raised some money to donate plants and seeds to groups in our community. And we continue to do that. This is us at the Riverdale Y Sunday Market back in 2022. This is Henriette. She's my partner in crime. I say that because I think of her that way. She never introduces me that way. She never says, this is Anne, my partner in crime, but I think of her as my partner in crime because we're out there engaging with people we don't know and trying our best to make a connection. And she's just wonderful. Here she is. She's bringing, you see the plant she's carrying. She procured these somewhere. She probably, I don't know where she got them, but she's bringing them to the market to give them to the community. So she's wonderful. I adore her. So we've always tried to be cohesive and try to lead ourselves in a kind of methodical way. So we did a survey. These are sort of the results of our survey. I don't think we had too many respondents. I think we probably had about 11 respondents. At the end of that year, we did a survey and we talked about our feelings on whether or not we could be better or average, or if we've been successful in areas like education, plant distribution, social media, tabling, walking tours, webinars. In general, at that point, and kind of at this point, we still feel like we would like to do more education, and that's really kind of like what we would like to do more of if we had the time. Oh, this was just notes from that meeting. And then in 2023, we developed more content on Facebook. We had more plant donations. We collaborated with Bronx-wide environmental justice activities. We created a website. We had story time and movie screenings. This is Henriette doing story time. It was, I know, isn't that nice? It was a wonderful thing. And the kids loved it. And we want to introduce kids to these amazing books that are out there on gardening, on nature, and kids are receptive to it. So these are plants that the Riverdale Neighborhood House grows. We've donated quite a bit to them, and they've also they sort of like get some of the same plants that we do. This is from 2023. Yeah, these are all native plants that are very supportive of the environment. This is a private home in North Riverdale, and I think that's a butterfly bush, which I'm not sure if it's truly.
It's not native.
It's not native, right?
There.
It's not, okay. But this is, though. I think this is a coneflower. I think that's a coneflower. And this is native plants at the Riverdale Temple. And these have been thriving on their own with very little maintenance. I can tell you because I see them there when I'm at the market. Sometimes they don't get watered. They look dry and parched, but they come back every year, and you can see the butterflies there. And these are just little, plantings, but they engage, and they are a very important part of our community. This is at the High Point. This is where Henriette lives. I didn't have some great pictures. I'm not even sure if these are native, but I think this is anise hyssop and I think some native grasses back there. This is at Chervier. This is, um,
I'm trying to remember, because I planted that, so.
Black
And
Eyed
it's kind of a
Susan?
Sunflower Heliopsis or
Okay.
something like that. But that is a native plant. It spreads like crazy and yes, usually blooms in the fall.
Okay, it's beautiful, beautiful. And, the echinacea and anise hyssop and some of that other flowering thing that we just saw, Coreopsis, did you say? It was just beautiful. We do a good job of native plants this year. We do.
We have a whole, a huge, anybody wants to come to Chevier,
Yes.
we're gonna have a tour.
Oh,
We
good.
are gonna have a tour
Good.
in early June.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I know, me too. And I think this is Aster. I think that's at Sugar too. And this is at Skyview. Skyview went out of their way to make an amazing native. They have so much there. I don't know how much they spent, but it's incredible. This is just the grasses. I have so many pictures of what they planted. It's really incredible. This is at Riverdale Country School. They have really, they're very committed. These are these cute little calico asters that are native. They're really adorable. The picture does not do it justice. So we kind of came to an impasse in 2023. We had to have a sort of a leadership structure, and the leadership change, even though I just said we didn't have leadership. We had people who were involved as sort of like organizers, but we had to sort of like shift because we were so unstructured. We had unfortunately found ourselves in some controversy because some of our members were engaged in commentary over the Hamas attacks on Israel and the protests after that. So it was pretty significant. That almost brought us down because the person was using our Google group listserv, which was like 150 people in Riverdale, to share their views, which were very strong and not very respectful. But we survived that. We started afresh. We just kept our name. We kept everything. We just now have a little bit more rules about how we engage. And this is sort of like from our last meeting. So in 2024, we started a collaboration with the Spuyten Duyvil Library, and we applied for and received a grant from Citizens NYC. We've been trying to get a book group off the ground. We started one with a book, All We Can Save, and we haven't been able to get that off the ground just because we don't have the volunteers to do that. And now we have another idea to talk about this great book called Good Nature, which is an amazing book, and I'm going to get to that. And we still table. Last year we spoke at the Riverdale Nature Conservancy's annual meeting. We coordinated a free compost giveaway. We participated at a Pollinator Palooza, which is an annual thing at the Riverdale Y Sunday Market put on by Art for Aid. We distributed plants at the Sunday Market. And we launched the garden project with the grant. And we have an Instagram account, and we work with the Friends of Park. They had a great event with the City of Forest last fall. What else? Oh yeah, we're still working with James Baldwin Outdoor Learning Center. We would like to host more pollinator garden tours. We've started to plan that, and then it's kind of fallen off, but ideally we'd like to, as I said, sort of like walk around or drive around Riverdale and talk about all these amazing native plants. Usually what happens, and what happened last year, is I was like, I can't do it, it's too hot, because it was like, I can't deal with the 90-degree humidity, which happened so quickly. I was like, you all do it. I can't. I'm sorry. it's hard for me. But also part of native gardening, at least for us, is talking about invasive plant removal because it's very difficult. People don't know much about it. I don't know much about it, but it's a challenge. And I know you're aware of it. You're very knowledgeable about it. And it's
Always learning.
yes, always
Always
learning.
learning.
I was at the New York Botanical Gardens recently, and I noticed that they have a lot of the lesser celandine, the little yellow flowers that are out now. They look beautiful, but they're highly invasive. And I noticed that they're working on controlling that. They have sections, and it's so difficult because they travel underground. You have to basically remove like all the soil and pull out all the little, what are they called? Rhizomes or something?
Yeah.
Rhizomes. Because they flower now. And I have I didn't put that in here, but I do have pictures. They're beautiful. You see, they're little yellow flowers everywhere. They kind of look like,
So pretty.
they're
They look
pretty.
Like, you know,
like violets almost.
what are they called? Lesser celandine. And it's a little yellow flower and the leaves are they almost look like little hearts.
Yeah, like
or
I like almost like a
almost-
violet flower. I mean leaf.
Violet and a shamrock, you know,
Yeah.
a clover.
Yeah, yeah.
leaf, but a little bigger and it's pretty. And I do say that when we have them at Shavir, we keep digging them out.
It's tough. They bloom now and then they go dormant and they go, so they can cover a lawn now and then they sort of go underground and then they make it hard for the other plants to come up or to grow.
Oh.
They don't die. That's the thing. No, that's the problem. They take up space underground. They take over. It's,
And they
it's,
probably drop seeds too.
I don't know how I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all
They're
under,
rhizomes, so they spread.
yeah, right. So, but we would like to do, if we, everybody, we have the best intentions. One day we have a vision of having an event where we get together, let's say at Chervier, to take out the lesser celandine and we have a party and we make it fun and we do that. We want to do that, but we just have to do it and it's not too hot, too many mosquitoes. We have to figure out how to make it work, but one of these days, that's what we'd like to do. So this is all, so yeah, we're trying to grow our social media presence, which I detest. So it's just, I don't like it. I hate it. And other people do it, but that's still a goal of ours. So we are excited about the fruition of our, let's see if I have pictures. Oh yeah. This is a bad picture of us, but this is us. It's really not good. But I think you see some people, I don't know. At least you might see people you know Luann, right? There's Luann's there.
No, I
and
think Luann came after.
Oh,
her, and
okay.
She was still working, so,
Okay.
Luann's the head of the steering committee.
Yeah.
Right now, so,
And the lady-
Henriette's there.
Henry's there, and the lady squatting is the librarian at the Spine Diver Library. And she's supporting us through this. So this is our kid volunteers, one of several. They were so amazing. I don't have any more pictures of, I didn't, oh, there are more pictures of what we've done there. And we're going to have an event this Saturday where we're planting plants that we bought from Homegrown National Park, which is the organization associated with Doug Ptolemy. I mentioned the man who's written the books on ecology and native planting, the guy who gave the presentation at the Riverdale Yonkers Society for Ethical Culture. So they have a company and you can buy native plants from them. So we've never done it, but this is our first time. We bought like a pre-designed roll of plants and they're arriving this week. I don't know what it'll look like, but we're going to put them in the ground with some volunteers from PS24. We're going to do that Saturday if it doesn't rain. And let's see, what else is next? I think, so there's more that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I wanted to talk to you about that opportunity. You're welcome to join us. It's Saturday and definitely go, I don't know how you go back, but you can sign up here and I can send you information if you like.
Hit the back button. I think.
Hit the back button. Back.
Let's see, I can,
Oh yeah.
there you go.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So yes, you can give me your information if you're interested, put a note by it if you're interested in anything that I've discussed. But one sort of project of mine that I'd really like to get going is a book group on this book called Good Nature, because it speaks to me so much. It's about, well, apparently science has developed to such an extent that they can now finally prove how we are connected to nature. So I mentioned to you that must have been indoctrinated in 1970. I've always loved nature. I've, love going to Canada or whatever, and I love going to Alaska, and I love hanging out in nature. But apparently this book, Good Nature, which was published in 2025 by a scientist named Kathy Willis, with technology, with like satellite technology, which is so sophisticated, they are looking at images of the entire globe. And I don't know I don't remember the terminology, but they can look at like temperature and other things that plants emit, other factors, like other ways to photograph it to get a sense of how healthy a biological thing is, a plant, a tree, or whatever. With that, along with global like demographic data, like where people live, who they are, what their like income is likely to be, what their education level is about to likely to be. I mean, like the data is amazing, because actually we give up a lot of our data when we do things now. We don't even realize it, like just going to websites, and they scrape all that data. So things are known about us, not so much individually, but sometimes collectively, like a lot of information. So between that satellite information and the other demographic information, they've been able to prove that people who live closer to plants, closer to not just plants, to like a healthy forest or healthy trees, actually have a significantly more improved health. And I wrote down some statistics, and I'll kind of share them with you. There are some other facts too, but they've also gotten the science down to explain what happens to us when we just look at plants. Like, let's see if we like get a picture of a plant here, like that pretty pink aster that we all reacted to, right? Or this, they say yellow is the one. They say, so this book, it's called Good Nature. It's about a scientist. It's unique because it's all peer-reviewed scientific research and very kind of technical, but they prove that looking at a yellow flower does something to our body. And it's not just one person, it's a human thing. We've evolved to be in nature. So we need that. And it's extremely beneficial to all of us. So I took some notes. I'll just read a few things here if we have time, because it's just so fascinating. Okay, yay. So apparently the science, this is just such a funny factoid. The science developed not out of any curiosity. Like, it's not like people like me who feel like, oh, why do I feel better at the beach? Or why do I just love walking in the forest? Like, I go to Van Cortlandt Park and I go on the trails. Why does it feel different than when I walk on Broadway? It does feel different. Like, I feel, of course, right, but it's never been proven. It's very subjective. So apparently in Japan, this was in the introduction of the book, in Japan in the 90s, there's this business that they were promoting called forest bathing, which is, it's like a tourism type of destination, like come to our beautiful Japanese forest and bathe in the forest and it'll be good for your health. But they didn't have any scientific evidence. So I think people question them. Well, like, why should I go there when I can go to Cancun? Like why this forest? So because of that, that started a lot of research in Asia and then across the globe. And the forest bathing was promoting experiencing nature with all five senses, because I think people knew all five senses is what you need to really feel transformed. And so the science has shown that, and that's what this book is about. And some of the facts I can share with you. Walking for 15 minutes in a natural setting, like Van Cortlandt Park Trails or Riverdale Park down by the river, or maybe probably Central Park, versus an urban setting, Townsend Avenue or whatever, you have a 16% reduction of cortisol levels. Stress, that's the stress hormone. That's like they're proving this now. You have a significant decrease in pulse rate and blood pressure. There's a significant increase in the biomarkers for relaxation. And then a greater sense of psychological calm and improved mood. And it's not subjective, like these are big studies, and they're markers and indicators that support this. It's not a subjective, like, yeah, I think my anxiety is better. They're proving it, like, irrefutably. So it's like reduction of stress, reduction of anxiety. Oh, and also an immune system response. That appeals to me, right? I mean, I kind of like knew all this, but I kind of didn't know that it's also helps me heal. Yeah, so it's like really important to be out there and at least just look at, even apparently they part of their study involved showing pictures of yellow flowers to school children and high school kids and other pictures. They were able to do their work much better. Or what type of window were they looking out of? And this was a big study, like not anecdotal, where if they looked out at a brick wall or if they looked out at a tree, their work improved. Really incredible. Oh, and I mentioned the satellite technology. So forests or even street trees that are not thriving, that are like, they can see this with the satellite technology. The trees are like a little suppressed, not great. The people's health in the area correlates to that. And it's not, and they've factored in for, like, economic factors too. It's like in every area, regardless. So when our plants thrive, we thrive. So that's why I'm intuitively invested in native planting to help the plants thrive, right? Oh, my alarm says I've been talking for 45 minutes.
Take that time, ignore it. I'm enjoying this.
Oh, good.
So.
Okay. I'll look, see what else I wrote down that I found interesting. Oh yeah, so the health and vigor and the greenness of the vegetation in any given place correlates to less depression. Green environment correlates to, oh, so it's, wait a minute, I can't read my writing. Oh, it's particularly true with women under 60. Who would have thought? That seems so random to me. Why women under 60? I didn't read the book, so I don't know, but that's a strange correlation. Very strange.
We have to join the book club.
Right? Wouldn't that be great? I think we should do this book club. I'm fascinated by it.
I'm in.
Yeah, good. Yay.
Sounds good.
Yay. I'm looking for another statistic here. So, also correlation, and it correlates to death from cardiovascular illness and respiratory incidents. So that's for people who live in urban settings. So when they're near trees that are thriving, they don't have as many cardiovascular events and respiratory event deaths. By what's the number here? I don't think I wrote that number down, but I think part of that, I wrote this down though. Part of that related to this infestation from ash beetle. Did you know about, I don't really know about this. Apparently ash trees in the United States, not just our region, but across the United States, these ash trees died from this infestation. And they were able to show that people's health was impacted by that. Not because of any chemical that the tree was emitting or the insect was emitting, just the loss of the tree. So what else? Oh, so then she talks a lot about what happens in our eyes and our brains when we see plants. And it's like this fascinating thing where they go through how your brain, like, scans and isolates and like takes in something, and something about seeing the yellow flower calms us, and adds to our well-being. This resonated for me because my part-time job is as a personal assistant for older folks. Sometimes some of the people I work with have memory challenges, or they may be in the early stages of dementia. And one very important therapy with like those people I work with is to engage the five senses. That can actually help folks struggling with the confusion and anxiety from dementia. And I don't know if science realizes that while we tell caregivers, try to soothe your loved one or the person you're caring for with the five senses, try to soothe them with smelling a familiar food, or listening to songs, or petting something soft, or hearing the sound of your voice. I don't think science yet knows that just being in nature will do that with these five senses, immersive experiences, and then the demonstrated health improvements and the improvement for your immune system. So I just really think that's something we all need to really share with everybody we know, especially for me, people who are, challenged with dementia and their families. So I don't think I have anything else to add, except I did bring our, this is a notebook that has a lot of random things, and you're welcome to look through it. It has some articles, and don't feel like you have to. There is some information on plants that we recommend. And I'd be happy to talk to you or answer questions, or if anybody has anything they want to say, please let me know. If you just want to,
If
sit with
anybody
it.
online also would like to say anything, you can unmute or put it in the chat.
But I know you guys we want to do the book group, so I'm just gonna take your names down now. Or but here, you just sign it, and I'll go to my group.
And I'll pass it on.
A line here, under here, that'll be for the book group.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think for a book group, it might, even though I like the idea of being in person, I love the idea of being in person. It just might be easier to coordinate on Zoom, but I think we get more out of in-person communication. And nature, we should go to nature. So like, what's a good spot for all, what's a good spot for you guys? Yeah, and they have free days. Days you can go for free. Where? Oh, well, we could meet here. We could also carpool. We could pick you up. I mean, I am speaking for other people I know who have cars and would love to do this. I'm sure if we all can find a date that we agree on, and we plan in advance, we could coordinate an in-person discussion.
Want to be a garden and say, no, well, something happened to me. Now I'm 7 years old. I was passing when I from school. I saw the lady having a lot of flowers in the little path and something. One day, I stole one of them, but I was so stupid. The plant had a little hole on it. And I was walking, it was making rain.
Yes, of
The lady
course.
followed me.
Ah.
That lady got home. I said, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
My father see me and kill me. And you tell him not to leave me. That frustrated my being gardener.
Aw. Was she nice about it, or was she angry? Was she angry?
No, she told me like it's so stupid because I should have caught it, because they was getting, the soil and the bottom had a hole. and the soil was.
Yeah,
making-
I understand. I understand how she caught you. I know how she caught you. I just wonder if she was
My
angry.
mother was outside and my father was coming late at night. Otherwise, they will kill me. Oh, steal it. Daddy, please don't let my father know.
I think honestly, most curious kids do that type of thing, right? Don't you think?
Yes.
I think everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the experience.
That's hysterical.
But
Oh, thank
I'm a master compo.
Good
Yes,
for,
I am.
oh,
Yeah.
good for you.
Barbara, no, yeah.
Yay.
Uh-huh.
Anita, are you leaving?
Yeah.
Did you put your information down?
did.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Where you, Anita?
Right here.
Thank you.
No.
Okay. Rainey or Beverly, are you interested in the book club? I can put your name down.
No, thanks. Oh,
No,
Okay.
thank you, not right now.
Gigi, right?
Okay, do you guys have any questions or comments that you want to add?
No,
nope, I'm gonna go look for yellow flowers.
Are you
Thank you for coming.
Nice.
Thank
Okay.
you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, gracias.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks
coming.
so much. Thank you. I
Yeah,
love flowers, I love plants, I go to the garden most of the time.
it's,
Right beyond the
oh,
line.
We have to
Oh.
show
I've
her,
had
we have a
beautiful-
terrace garden.
I'd love to see.
Yeah.
I hope
I'll show you.
can I take pictures?
Absolutely, there's not much to see right now.
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
of
we're
course,
gonna
yeah.
add to it. So,
Okay,
all right.
good.
So thank you guys for coming.
Yeah,
We're
thank
gonna
you so
stop the
much.
share.
Thank
Thank
so much
you.
for coming.
Yes.
Fun for me.
And I can't believe I